Welcome back to another edition of Components Breakdown. Today we're going to look at the game Dream Factory, which is a popular remake of an older Reiner Knizia game that was entitled Hollywood Blockbuster. The game's theme centers around the movie industry. It's a 2 to 4 player family strategy game that takes place over 4 rounds and takes about 60 minutes in total to complete. The gameplay mechanics include auction bidding and set collection. So with that, let's open up the box top and see what comes inside. So now we've taken the box lid off, and we're going to go ahead and look and see the insert itself and the basic components, and then we'll break everything out and show you the basic setup for a 2-player game. The first thing you're going to notice is a fairly small size board. It is single-sided. The board is not 100% necessary to play the game. I would suggest using it on your first playthrough, actually your first several playthroughs, to get an understanding of the flow. You may need them to remember how many go in each different area, the tiles that are. But as far as the outside, these are point systems that you will have small tokens for, and it's not necessary that you use them. But we'll get back to that in a moment. There is an 8-page full-color rulebook in here. The rules are very self-explanatory. As I said earlier, this is a family-style game, so there is no real deep strategy in the game or any nuanced rules that you won't be able to pick up your first time playing. There are 5 player screens of different colors. The player screens are not necessary for 2-player games, and the reason for that is that you'll always know the amount of income that your opponent has available to them. In a 3 to 5 player game, however, you will be using the screens. There is one cloth bag, and inside the cloth bag are several different tiles. These represent the actors, the directors, several of the scripts and contracts that you'll be using, and we'll get to these in a moment as well. There's several different trophies that are awarded at specific parts in the game. There are screenplays, and they come in 3 different styles. There's dramas, there's comedies, and there's action movies. And again, we'll break these down in a little bit more detail in just a moment. There is a popcorn marker, and this goes to the first player. There's several cardboard $1 million tokens. These are your monetary values that's used in the game. And the last things are your point system. And we'll again get to these as we break down the game itself. The insert itself is just a cardboard insert with the dividing area in the center. Everything stores pretty easily in baggies if that's what you choose to use. I usually use Plano boxes, but I couldn't find any that actually fit and can fit these large coins in there. In any good organization. So with that, let's actually set up a 2-player game and show you the basic mechanics of the game and give you my final thoughts. So now we have the game set up for a 2-player game. I'm going to walk you through the components one more time, showing you everything that ships with the game and the quality of the components, and then we'll walk you through a gameplay, how it works, and then finally we'll finish off with the difference between a 2 to 3 player game and my final thoughts. So let's look at the components first. Again, here's the game board that sits in the middle of the table. We've set up 2 players here, one on the left and one on the right. Both of them start off with 3 different screenplays, one in each of the different kinds of categories, which are action, drama, and comedy, which you see up here. Each of them have the exact same, but the titles are different. And you see a studio on here. Everybody starts with one of their studios. So for instance, this player is Studio 1 and the other player is Studio 2. And that's on the front of their screens as well. On the board itself, we have reels. And each of these reels are worth a specific number of points. 1 through 7, there's only 1 of each reel, and then 15 through 22, again, there's only 1, with the rest having 2 reels in each of those. So there's 2 number 8s, for instance. These are used for the point scoring system in the game, and we'll get to that once we get to the gameplay mechanics themselves. On the board, there's 4 different spots on each of these different movie reels. The first one is for the director that will be coming out. This is a big-time director. For instance, this one is Woody Allen, or Woodland Alien, as it says here on the little production piece. And each of these is going to have a specific number of production tiles inside of them, with the party ones being upside down, and we'll get to that as well. There are different trophies that are awarded in the game. The trophies consist of, at the end of the game, the player that has the best action, the best comedy, and the best drama will get the 10 points. So whoever has the most points for one of those screenplays. There's also one who has the best movie altogether, and this is called the best director, and they get 10 points. And then there's a Razzie Award, whoever has the worst screenplay or the lowest number of points on a screenplay. There's also trophies that are awarded during every turn. For instance, the first person that produces each of those different kinds of movies gets a 5 points. So if you're the first one in the whole game to produce, for instance, an action, you get this trophy. And at the end of every one of the rounds, and there's 4 rounds in total, so at the end of the first 3 rounds, the person with the best screenplay gets one of these 5-point awards. So there's some variant point systems that come into the game during the game and after the game, and they aren't all just generated from your screenplays themselves. The big thing to notice, though, are the different chits that come in the game that actually fit onto your screenplay themselves. They come in a variety of different kinds of values or items. There's contracts, there's music, there's cinematography, there's actors, and they have gone through here and used some real actors, but they've given them funny names, of course, such as Don Bruce, just Tom Cruise, of course. There's action, and there's directors. And if you look on your screenplays, each of your screenplays has areas for specific production tiles that will fit on top of them. Now, not all of them have the same thing, so some of them will have a need for two movie stars. Some of them will have the need for 2 action sequences. And what you're trying to do is bid on the board with the money that you start off with. Now, in a 2-player game, everyone starts off with $12 million, and those go behind your player screen. So as the game works, basically what happens is every round you'll be moving in this backwards C type style, and you'll be bidding. Everybody will have a chance to bid on whatever tiles are in that area. For instance, if you want to bid on this, player 1 could say, I'm bidding $6 million, and then player 2 could say, I'm bidding $7 million. Whoever wins that bid gets all the items inside here, but they give the other player that much money, so the next player will have more money to bid in the future spots. So you're trying to fill out your screenplays by bidding on the right kinds of production tiles that are down here on the board. When you get to the party locations, the person that has the most stars and the most actors gets to pick which one of these they want, and then the other player gets the other one. So in a 2-player, there's 2 of them here, and a 3-player, there's 3 of them here, and so forth up to 5 players. The variance in the rules, though, comes when you get to 3 players, and this is where the game actually shines a lot more. In a 2-player, you know how much money the other player has, because if one person starts off with 12 million and the other person starts off with 12 million, you know that if you only have 5 million left, the other player has 19 million. So it makes the game a little less interesting. The game shines, though, as I said, with 3, 4, and 5 players. When you use the player screens, you don't have any idea of how much the other players have. And each player will start off again with 12 million unless you have a 5-player game in which each player starts off with 10 million. Sorry if that sounds confusing, but it's really not. The object of the game, though, is to get the most points on each of your screenplays. If you notice on all of the production tiles, they have a specific number of stars on them. For instance, this director has 3 stars on him. So when you fill him on your screenplay, this one so far would have 4 for the title and then 3 here. When you've completed everything on this screenplay, you put it to the side and you get that many points. So for instance, at the end of this, if we had 19 points, you simply take the 19 token and put it there. So you're fighting over the course of the game, over 4 rounds, to try to complete as many screenplays you can with the most number of stars on your production tiles as you can, while all the while trying to get trophies as well to offset the imbalances you may have in other screenplays. The game plays fairly quickly. I like the game. I do not like it as a 2-player game, and that's the brunt of the play time I've had with it. My wife really enjoys it as a 2-player game, but it really loses a lot of its magic when you only play with 2. Now, I've played it with 4 and I've played it with 5, and the game is a lot more strategic when you get to that point, and you don't complete nearly as many screenplays, which to me makes the game a lot more dramatic and a lot harder to do. So what do I think overall? I think it's a really good game. He's on a really good concept with this. It's a very easy auction style game to play. If you're not into auction games, I would avoid this. I like the theme. Obviously, I love the movie industry. I love watching movies, and I like the comical humor they've mixed in with all the actors and the directors. I'm not sure about the board. I don't really like the layout of the board. I think it's cumbersome. I don't like the reels. It takes a little bit longer to set up than I would like. But that's really not a negative on the game itself. The game plays quickly, as I said. It's a fairly fun game to play. I would avoid it if you're trying to get a 2-player game. I would definitely play it once or twice, though, for a 4 to 5 player game and see if you like it. So, that's Dream Factory, and I hope you liked it, and thanks again for watching.